The guy who would like to be the next governor of the state of Michigan, Virg Bernero, the Democrat, the mayor of the city of Lansing, is up early this morning with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning. That's a good Abbott and Costello.
Wasn't that great? Well, Virg, talk about boy governor. I mean, you're a pretty young guy, too. If you get this job, you'll be one of the youngest to ever have that gig, right?
Well, I used to be before the campaign.
That'll do it.
Certainly one of the most energetic people you'd meet in any office anywhere. Where do you get that energy?
Yeah.
I don't know. That I guess from my parents. That Italian gusto, work ethic.
Yeah.
Feeling good and excited.
Well, 13 days left, and we keep reading about polls that say you're 20 points down, and obviously that those always tend to tighten when you get up to Election Day. But do you look at that 20 points with 13 days left and say, geez, that's a mountain. Am I going to get there?
I really don't. I always say the poll that counts is the one on Election Day that opens at 7 a.m. and closes at 8 p.m. I don't know who they're talking to because the people I know most people don't have landlines anymore. I mean, a lot of people don't, and that's who they're polling. I think the validity of the polls have gone down a great deal because of that. And, in the primary I was down 20 points, and I ended up winning by almost 20. And so, it's hard to believe that I really swung 40 points. I don't think I was 20 points down, and I don't believe I am now. I think it's a lot tighter. And then ultimately, it's based on who shows up. It really is because a poll, not only is it a snapshot, it's a guess about who actually shows up. Mm-hmm. And I believe the Democratic base is going to be more motivated, and we're going to be able to win the independents as people are taking a close look at the election, as people take a close look at the choices. And I've got a real plan to bring back the economy. The economy is the number one issue, and I encourage people to look at my opponent's so-called plan and look at my plan at votevirg.com. I have a plan to actually create jobs with specific proposals, like the Main Street Bank, like Make It in Michigan for Free, that's going to boost manufacturing in our state. My opponent has a lot of happy talk in his plan. It's basically newage.com biznobabble. And I hope, folks, because it's such an important election, I encourage people to please look at my opponent's plan. It's rare that a candidate would say this, but I encourage people to go to my opponent's website, Rick Snyder's website, and compare his so-called plan with my plan. And I think they'll see mine has real substance to it.
Did he really, Rick Snyder, admit that his remake of the Michigan business tax would, in some cases, triple the tax burden for small business people?
He basically did. If you look at his interview in Crane's Business, Detroit Magazine, and we said that when it first came out, we stood up with some business people who were paying 1.8%, and they were not excited about paying 6%. And these are small business, mom and pop shops, and they basically denied it. And then later, now they've admitted that. I will not raise taxes on small business. I think that's a very bad way to go, especially in this economy. We need to be boosting small business. 70 to 80% of new job growth comes from small businesses, and we need to be promoting that. Another way we promote small business is by opening up access to capital, to credit, because right now small business, any business really in Michigan, cannot get loans because Wall Street will not invest in Michigan. We've got $1 billion sitting at J.P. Morgan Chase of state money that's in a demand deposit account, which we could get back immediately, and I intend to do that the day I'm elected, is to get that money back and put it in community banks and community credit unions and get access to capital flowing again.
Some people automatically think, well, I'm a business person, I should vote Republican. But in this case, even the Republican Senate Majority Leader, Mike Bishop, is looking at this tax plan from Rick Snyder and saying that's going to be a major tax hike.
Well, exactly, and that's why I hope small. Look, I'm a pro-business Democrat. That's what my record is. Mm-hmm. As mayor, I've worked with everybody. I was endorsed by the local chamber and the state chamber when I ran for re-election as mayor. I haven't changed in my position as I'm running for governor. I'm still very, very pro-business. There's no way to be pro-labor without being pro-business. Business creates jobs, not government, and we've set the table for business in Lansing. In fact, I don't know if you saw the report, Michael Patrick, but the Milken Foundation just named Lansing, like 2 or 3 days ago, just named Lansing the #1 fastest growing region economically in the state of Michigan. And that's very good news. We have the second lowest unemployment in the state. Despite what my opponent says about unemployment, the statistics that he puts up, the fact is, while unemployment increased across the state, Lansing has the lowest unemployment in the state. And the Milken Foundation study is just another indication that we are doing the right things. We're taking the right steps in Lansing, Michigan, and there's a lot of these things we can do for the state of Michigan as well. You know, the foreign investment zone that we've just created in Lansing, the EB5 investment zone, to encourage and attract foreign investment here instead of having our jobs go overseas. That's something we could do now, and Lansing is the only city in the state to have done it. There's 90 such sites around the country, only one in Michigan, and that's our city, Lansing. But we can do that in other cities and promote investment here instead of having our investments going overseas, which my opponent knows a lot about.
You know, Virg, you do raise an interesting point, though, with fewer using landlines today as these pollsters go about their business. That being the case, do you think polling procedures and how they do that should change, and if so, how?
Well, I don't have a landline.
Well, of course, I don't worry much about it. It's not my business. I'm not a political consultant, and I've never really had my finger in the wind and tried to follow polls. But I go with my gut and what I hear, feel on the streets, what people need. But I tell you, everywhere I go, and I'm traveling all over the state, I talk to people. Regular people are coming my way. And sure, there's some that are still undecided. My sisters were door-to-door in Pontiac yesterday, and they said that there were a lot of folks for me, and then there were still some undecided. My sister was saying, how can they be undecided at this point? But there's still a lot of undecided. Mm-hmm. And so there's a little less than 2 weeks, like you said, 13 days to still win them over. And we're going to be working every minute, every day, right up until the polls close at 8 p.m. On November 2nd. But you just can't worry about it. What I notice, though, is that when I pull up into a hotel, sometimes I have to meet groups at a hotel, speak to a group at a hotel, and I'll tell you something: the doorman and the carport, the valet, they know exactly who I am, and they're voting for me. Working people sense that this economy is not working for them. And they're not looking for a handout, but they're looking for a hand up. We need to make sure that those lower rungs on the ladder are intact. We need to make sure the economy and the government is working for everybody, not just the people at the top. And those lower rungs of the ladder have been kicked out in this tough economy. And what are the lower rungs? Education, health care, that first job, job training, job retraining, adult education for somebody who maybe didn't finish school but now wants to go back. We need to make sure those lower rungs of the ladder are there. Not everybody may choose to climb the ladder, but I certainly want to make sure that I live in a Michigan of opportunity where those lower rungs are fully intact and there when somebody decides they're ready to climb up.
Is Bill Clinton going to come to Michigan to campaign for you?
I honestly don't know. But he's certainly welcome. I'd love to see him.
Rick Snyder says he's got something like $2 million left in his campaign coffers. He's now spent $6 million of his own money. Is this a money game in the end?
It's a big part of it. It's really unfortunate. And he may say he has $2 million left, but the truth is he's a multimillionaire. I mean, he's got a bank account. We don't know what's in it. He hasn't disclosed that. So he could, if things get really tight, he could easily reach into his pocketbook and write another big fat check like he's done to this point. The problem is we know he's a multimillionaire. We don't really know what his plans are for Michigan because his plan is so vague. It's very thin gruel indeed. We don't know what he will do. What he might do if he's elected. We know what his track record is. We know that at Gateway, they closed down. They went to China. He became a multimillionaire. We know that at Handy Lab, a company that he's got on his website, that it was recently sent to Maryland. He became a millionaire again. It was sold for $270 million when he was the CEO. Now it's shut down. 50 people are unemployed. He seems to have the Midas touch in reverse. I mean, everything he touches, well, he has the Midas touch for himself, but the other folks around, the working people, end up getting the shaft. It's unfortunate.
John Engler was 20 points down at this stage. He won the election. Virg Bernero says, I can get there too, and I'm going to work night and day for the next 13 days, and we'll talk again soon before the election. Thanks for the time, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
All the best. 18 after the hour. Michael Patrick Shields back in a flash.